Dan Illman, Mike Beer, stakes-laden card at Monmouth on Saturday. Let's take a peek at race number 9, kicking off a 50-cent pick 5. It's the Grade 3 Salvator Mile for 3-year-olds and up, 2-turn mile at Monmouth Park. Get involved with a DRF Bets account. Deposit $100, bet with $250. DRF Bets, Mike, it's as easy as ready, set,
bet.
That's right.
I
Here's
like
the
bet.
field for the Grade 3 Salvator Mile. $150,000 is the purse. Sunny Ridge is your favorite. 2-1 on the morning line. Third in this race last year. Sunny Ridge ran some big figs towards the end of 2018. Second in the Kelso, third in the Cigar Mile. I thought pace compromised in both of those races. He has not come back as good this year for some reason.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think if you go through his 2018 form, even as a 5-year-old, he ran the 3 fastest races of his life last year. I thought he had taken a step back last year as well, even though the figures don't live up to that. I mean, to me, he was just more disappointing than not last year, and he's come back with 2 starts this year, and once again, he just doesn't quite seem like the same horse. Is he the horse to beat in here? Dan, I think he is clearly the horse to beat in here. I just don't trust him anymore.
If he remembers what he used to be, he's supposed to beat this field, but he is also going to be a very short price. And last time out in the Westchester, maybe he didn't like the wet track, but he saved ground every step of the way. I was disappointed he couldn't get past Stan the Man for second. I think that Nicodemus, like you, is a pretty nice horse. And 3 back in the Jazzle, I know it was off a little bit of a laugh, and I know Mr. Buff was in raging hot form, but he's supposed to make that a little closer.
Yeah, he didn't make that race close. Last time, you know, the wet track, maybe he's not great on a wet track, so that could be a viable excuse. I didn't like that he was so far out one early in that race. Like, he just didn't have any interest early. And while he raced on pretty gamely, I mean, it never looked like he was going to win. I don't know, Dan. Listen, I'm not going to be surprised when he wins. If I play multis, I would have to use him somewhere. I just don't really trust him anymore.
Diamond King is going to really appreciate cutting back to a mile in here. They tried to stretch him out to a 1 1/8, and while he did win the Tessio as a 3-year-old going 9 furlongs, you and I have always maintained he's better at slightly shorter distances. Last time out in the Charlestown Classic, I thought Javier gave him the right ride.
Yeah.
He hustled him out there to the lead. He battled with the local horse, and the local horse got the better of him in the stretch. Now, that race, the pace held up completely. There was no closing whatsoever, and some of the horses to come out of the Charlestown Classic haven't really done very well just yet. Diamond King's a dangerous horse because he's in form for a great trainer, but I'm not sure I want to take 5-2 either.
I don't think I do either. I mean, we'll see what happens with him. I do like the shorter distance, but I also, you know, sort of prefer him as a 1-turn horse too. So this is a 2-turn mile. We'll see if he gets the right trip. I don't want to knock him too much for his Charlestown Classic. He did what he had to do. He ran a triple-digit buyer. He just came out second best. I don't think it was a particularly strong race, however. Even his race off the layoff at Gulfstream, I know it was his first start back. It wasn't a particularly good field, though. When he took that race over at the top of the stretch, it looked like he was really going to put on a show. He didn't really get away from that field that much. I wasn't blown away with his seasonal debut. Wasn't blown away with his last race. I don't really want him at 5-2.
He was on the lead last time out. Timeform US does not believe he'll be among the top 3, and that could be key to this year's edition of the Salvator Mile. That red bar indicates that Timeform US believes that this pace will be fast, and there are some fast horses in here, including the expected pace setter, the number 5, Jism Jim, who opened up a 7-length lead last time out when entered in an optional claiming race at Penn National, and he paid the price. This horse has been a win machine against weaker competition. I like him as a horse. I just think this is too tough a spot, especially if the pace is hot.
I don't have anything to add to that. If he has to go a fast pace in this race, he's probably in pretty big trouble. He just doesn't have that race. His speed is obviously dangerous. He doesn't have a race, though, that's going to stand up to some of these horses in the stretch.
Hoffenheim began his career for Bob Baffert in Southern California. He really didn't pan out. Did pop a triple-digit buyer speed figure last summer at Delaware Park, but he's had a couple of races for Jeremiah Engelhardt now, and the punch just hasn't been there. He could be in a nice spot if Jism Jim is going to give it up. He might be able to inherit the lead at some point, and I do like him at a mile, but he does like to finish underneath.
Yeah, that's true. He doesn't win very often, but he's got figures that would put him there. And, you know, as much as he does have speed, he doesn't need the lead to run his best race. Like, he can get the right trip in this race. He's got races that would put him there. He's 10-1 on the morning line. I have no knocks on this horse. I don't love him in here, but I have no knocks on him.
Nanush, the number 4, would benefit from a fast pace up front. We have him in mid-pack on our Timeform US pace projector, and he was just one of those horses that didn't fire in the Charlestown Classic, and maybe there was just no pace for him to run at, and he just had no chance that day. I'm just a little bit disappointed. I thought after the Zia Park Derby, this was a horse that was going to take a big step up as a 4-year-old, and it hasn't happened yet, but it is his second start for Jorge Navarro.
Yeah, I sort of look at him the same way. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt second for Navarro after the Charlestown Classic, where he just didn't run around that 3-turn track. Maybe he just didn't like it. The problem that I had with him is his races 2 and 3 back didn't really do a lot for me either, so I just wonder how good he is.
Just Call Kenny, the number 1, was second in this race in 2017. Sort of an abbreviated campaign last year. Didn't make it to the races till October, only had a few starts. Last time out in the Native Dancer, he actually ran quite fine, I thought, getting back to 2 turns in a mile and a 16th. The 5th place horse came back to win the Campbell at Laurel with a 95, then ran 3rd in the Harrison Johnson Memorial with a 92, but we haven't seen this horse in 5 months, and he was listed as a vet scratch on May the 4th.
Yeah, I mean, there are things to be concerned about with him. To me, more than anything else, it's just the fact that he had that 3-race streak on this track in 2017 where it just felt like, for whatever reason, he got really good then. But those are really the only 3 races that he has, and other than that, his career consists of a lot of races that don't really make him that competitive in here. I thought he ran fine last time. I do think he has to run better than that.
We do have a Just Call Kenny formulator fact that should allay some fears about the layoff. Over the past 3 years, with horses aged 3-year-olds and up on dirt, returning from a 4 to 6 month layoff, 33% winners and a $3 about return on investment. The number 7 is Forewarned, coming off of a win for Uriah St. Louis, and I thought he beat an okay field at Parks last time out. The runner-up coming back to earn an 85 buyer, went 3rd at Monmouth. The 3rd place finisher coming back to win with an 88 buyer against $25,000 claimers in your backyard, New York. This is an Ohio bred that's going to get the right pace set up, but he's probably going to have to run the fastest race of his career.
He's got to improve again. He has improved in his recent races, though, and he's going to have pace to run into here, and he's going to be a big price. I mean, it's going to be hard for him, I think, to beat this field, but this horse is far from impossible at a big price.
Let's take a look at our top selections for this year's Grade 3 Salvator Mile. I think you're onto something with the 8 Bal Harbor for Joe Bravo. This just seems like his distance. And last time out in the Toboggan, Solid Wager came from way out of it to win it. He came right back to run second with a 97 buyer speed figure. We haven't seen Bal Harbor in about 5 months, but you rarely worry about layoffs with Todd, and this horse has run well fresh in the past. While he did go gate to wire in his most recent win, I don't see any reason why he just can't sit in the second flight off some questionable speeds.
Yeah, that's how I was looking at it too. I think he can get the right trip in this race. And to me, anyway, he's just a horse who I feel like he just kept improving last year as a 3-year-old. I mean, he wasn't, one of Pletcher's really good young horses, but he was fine. He was a stakes winner over this track as a 2-year-old. Going a 2-turn mile. And then, after that, I just feel like it took him a while, but he was improving from race to race. I thought his Queens County was a fine performance over. I know he likes a wet track, but I thought he ran well that day. And then turning back last time, I don't really look at him as a sprinter. I think he'll get a better trip in this race. He could be a fair price in here. Take a shot with him against the 2 favorites.
I won't argue with anyone that says the 9 California Knight is dressed up off his most recent win. A race where it seemed like you wanted to be close to the pace, and the other speeds in that race inexplicably took back and gave California Knight the lead. I did like the way he finished that race off in the stretch after controlling the pace, and I did like his win around 2 turns, 3 starts back, where he earned a 90 buyer speed figure at Park under a very confident ride. Now, if he's the need the lead type, he can't win.
No.
I'm hoping, though, that he can work out a trip where he can maybe sit 3rd and try to get the jump on some of these horses turning into the stretch. I'm not worried about the mile. I'm trusting Michael Maker here. I think he might have found the right spot. I hate the post.
He's definitely improved this horse. The post is tough. There's speed to his inside, and that's tough for him.
And he might just be a better sprinter.
You made the big mistake that horse players aren't supposed to make.
You're
you
right.
had this horse last time. You liked him last time. He was a great price, and it was a good pick. You're going right back to him.
Yeah, I got to give some of that back. That's the story of my life. Mike, you're going Bal Harbor in here for Pletcher again, just projecting a nice trip. But this is kind of a spreadish race in a multi standpoint.
I think it is. This is more, not that I have nothing against Bal Harbor. I think he's okay. This is more of a sort of an anti-favorite. But I don't really like the 2 favorites on the morning line in here. I wanted to try to beat them. And this was the best alternative.
I'm kind of with you as well. You're going 8-3-2. I'm going 9-2-3 in the Grade 3 Salvator Mile, race number 9 at Monmouth, one of several stakes races on the card. Get involved with a DRF Bets account. Deposit $100. Bet with $250 at bets.drf.com. Approximate post time for the mile, the Salvator Mile, 4:31 Eastern. Good luck.